The duel of the two Jedi and Darth Maul on Naboo would not only shape the galaxy, but also Obi-Wan Kenobi forever, specifically his form and his lightsaber combat style. Darth Maul in a lot of ways was a phenomenal teacher to Obi-Wan, even though the Sith Lord was attempting to strike him down and run him through with his blade whenever possible. Obi-Wan would learn much from this high-paced duel with a true master of the blade such as Darth Maul, someone extremely aggressive, a wielder of Form 7 lightsaber combat, the Ferocity form. The duel was so impactful in part because Obi-Wan's own master, Qui-Gon Jinn, one of the greatest duelists in the entire galaxy, was killed by Darth Maul. And Obi-Wan, during the Phantom Menace, was not a practitioner of Form 3 Surisu that he would later become the master of, according to Mace Windu, with Windu even calling him the greatest Surisu duelist that had ever lived. Instead, Obi-Wan Kenobi had taken after his master, Qui-Gon, in Form 4 lightsaber combat, Ataru, a highly aggressive lightsaber form and one of the more aggressive lightsaber forms that the Jedi are permitted to use. Obi-Wan had been astounded by the skill of Qui-Gon Jinn, but the fact that he was ultimately defeated by a Sith Lord caused Kenobi to give much thought to his own lightsaber form, and a drastic transformation would soon occur with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So greetings acolytes, and welcome back to the channel, as today we'll be explaining and analyzing how Darth Maul and the duel on Naboo essentially created the greatest defensive duelist in the mind of Obi-Wan Kenobi in all of the lore, and how Darth Maul was a phenomenal teacher through trial by fire. To begin, let us analyze the lightsaber form that both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn utilized against Darth Maul. It was highly physically demanding and very aggressive. In a sense, the two Jedi believed that they could overwhelm the power of Darth Maul despite his own ferocity, as they attempted to match his ferocity with a style of their own, but a more tempered Jedi version. The supercharged power of three offensive-minded individuals. According to the novelization for The Phantom Menace, as well as other works, it was Qui-Gon Jinn's mindset to pin down Darth Maul. Darth Maul was constantly on the back foot, but not because he was fighting defensively. Rather, he was intentionally guiding the Jedi Master to a location of his choosing. Qui-Gon, though, trusted completely in the will of the Force, and believed that if he could get Maul into a more secluded location, where his mobility would be limited, he could use his superior experience to cut down the Sith assassin. Unfortunately for the Jedi, though, Maul's plan was set in place too efficiently, and he was able to separate the two of them, strategically deciding to divide and conquer. However, something crucial would occur here, as Obi-Wan Kenobi helplessly looked on the duel between Qui-Gon and the Sith assassin. He sensed that Qui-Gon Jinn was tiring, and that this was going exactly how Maul had planned. The offensive might that Qui-Gon Jinn was mustering had depleted all of his Force reserves, and Qui-Gon was beginning to slow ever so slightly. His movement, a half-second delayed than the ferocity that he had shown in the beginning of the duel. And as the Jedi Master sat down to meditate as the blast door separated Maul, the predator, from his prey, Obi-Wan Kenobi could sense the fatigue in Qui-Gon. In that moment though, Qui-Gon Jinn leapt forward with a newfound strength. But this strength again was not eternal, and his Force reserves were quickly depleted. Maul had the idea that he was going to wear down the Jedi Master and then systematically dismantle him when the moment presented itself. And though even at the end, Darth Maul would regret striking the man in the face with his hilt before running him through with the blade, considering this a cheap trick, Maul was not willing to take any chances with Qui-Gon Jinn, and he believed that he had tired him down enough to get the kill. Which ultimately he was correct, something that Obi-Wan Kenobi unfortunately saw coming, and he could sense just how tired Qui-Gon Jinn was, even though he was separated from the two combatants. But what's most important is what would come next in the novelization. Obi-Wan Kenobi burst forward with his own sense of aggression, going for the kill against the Sith assassin, and even pulling ever so lightly on the dark side of the Force, in his rage for the Sith, to fuel his blade. Obi-Wan Kenobi again jumped into Ataru sequences in order to fight the ferocity of Maul, but unfortunately, the same fate which begot his master would hit him. Obi-Wan Kenobi began to tire, feeling exhaustion enter his body. Form 4 was simply not holding up against the Sith assassin, someone this well trained, and someone that knew ferocity better than either Jedi did. Obi-Wan Kenobi again fell to fatigue and was ultimately struck down the reactor shaft by Maul. It was after not only Qui-Gon Jinn's defeat at the hand of Maul, but after Maul defeated Kenobi, that Obi-Wan decided to undergo a drastic change, one that would take several years to evolve fully. But the seeds were planted here. He quickly realized that if the Sith were going to return to the galaxy, that Form 4 was not the best lightsaber form suited to attack them. They were simply too aggressive and ferocious on their own. And the Jedi's energy reserves, even a Jedi as powerful as Qui-Gon Jinn, was not limitless. One, as a Jedi, could not overcome the blade work of a true Sith warrior with aggression all their own. And because of this, Obi-Wan began to temper himself, temper his very lightsaber form, and seek other options through the 7 variations of lightsaber combat. And that is when he decided to lean into the most energy-conscious form of them all. A form based entirely around building up one's energy reserves for the perfect counterattack, defense, ultimately leading to the perfect maneuver in offense and to end a duel quickly, Surisu. Although Obi-Wan Kenobi would not master Surisu overnight. In fact, Dooku would only state in their novelization for Revenge of the Sith, once Obi-Wan quickly changed his lightsaber form from Ataru to Surisu, that he knew that Obi-Wan Kenobi had become a true master of the lightsaber form. This was a long process that took Obi-Wan several years. In fact, all the way into Attack of the Clones and throughout the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan still fought with elements of Ataru as established by his own master in Qui-Gon Jinn. Being once such an offensive warrior gave him a better understanding at how to manage one's energy more effectively, as the energy a Jedi can pull from the Force is not unlimited. However, it was this energy consciousness that allowed Obi-Wan to even overcome Anakin on Mustafar. In the Revenge of the Sith novelization, it's important that Obi-Wan Kenobi notes that as the duel progresses, Anakin is becoming more and more powerful. Where his Force reserve should have run out due to the overwhelming ferocity of the duel, Kenobi could sense Anakin only gaining more and more energy, more and more power. And it was because of this that Obi-Wan decided to break off the engagement as quickly as possible, to find the high ground. If not for the lesson taught to Obi-Wan by Darth Maul, he would have never done this. In fact, he likely would have struggled a great deal to defeat Grievous if he could even manage to do so. But without these lessons imparted to him by Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi would have fallen to Anakin Skywalker's blade extremely quickly on Mustafar. But it was because of Darth Maul that Obi-Wan Kenobi went down the path of the Master of Defense. Not a master, the Master, the greatest Form 3 lightsaber duelist in all of the Star Wars lore. All of this having to do with Qui-Gon Jinn's failure against a Sith assassin, and ultimately why Obi-Wan decided to switch his lightsaber form. But anyway, my friends, have you been enjoying the re-release of The Phantom Menace? And what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on how the duel with Darth Maul shaped the way that Obi-Wan would fight for the rest of his life, and how it made him one of the greatest duelists to ever live? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting and stopping by the channel today. As always, may the Force be with you, and I'll see you in another holocron.